question is what up to what level of absolute pitch do you teach? Absolute pitch comes in um, two categories. The standard absolute pitch and then the universal absolute pitch. The standard absolute pitch starts off with the basic, which is just oral recall. Um, Oral recall where you can hear the tones in your head and be able to produce them and then check them to make sure that they're correct, and then where somebody else plays them and then you're able to identify them. And we do that as well as in all the different octaves, and then we move onward to cluster chords and clusters, and then we do the speed recognition of that in your primary instrument as well as other instruments. Then the universal absolute pitch would be being able to identify car horns, bells, whistles, sounds coming from like a refrigerator or machinery and things of that nature. And they're all different levels. Now, for musicians who have been studying music and music theory for a long time, or have a decent ear, they should be able to move along really quickly through the different levels, because they already have a foundation in which they can build upon. Those that are not musicians but wish to acquire the skill so that they can possibly become musicians, those are the ones going to have to go through from one to another as they progress forward. But people who already are musicians and have been studying music for a while should have more of an advantage to progress through all these different levels much quicker. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to finish one completely before you can move to another one. If you're a musician, chances are it'll sort of like overlap. So you should be okay with as long as you're able to acquire all the tones, then you should be able to also recognize them in other octaves as well. But for those who are not musicians, it's best to just start off with one basic octave and then move onward. Now, if you have been studying music for a very long time, relative pitch is probably something that you're going to be using. The method that I use here is to try to eliminate as much as possible any sort of relative pitch interference with the actual method. And as you study the method, you'll understand that it will separate relative pitch. It's going to be very difficult because you'll already want to use that to figure the tone out. But when you hear the method and you hear the instructions, you'll realize that it will separate absolute pitch from relative pitch. And when you decide to go ahead and study it the way I explain, you will begin to notice the separation from relative pitch and absolute pitch. But there are only 12 tones. So in order to eliminate you using relative pitch, you're going to put like the 12 tones in a little container to start off with, and reach your hand in, take one out, and that's the one that you'll focus on. And then you'll do it again for another one, and you'll do it for another one as you go through all the 12 tones. So that should eliminate trying to use relative pitch, because in the process what you're going to wind up doing is removing the sound or the relative pitchedness, so to speak, by taking your instrument, whatever it is, and pretty much creating noise in the background to remove any tone that you currently have within your within your mind, within your ear. And by doing that and then quieting yourself and then following through with the rest of my instructions, you'll begin to notice the separation from relative pitch to absolute pitch. Now, relative pitch is not a term that I would use. That's the one that's currently out there. But as I create more videos, I'll explain to you why I choose to have a different label for relative pitch. Okay, good. Thanks.